Hello, today we're going to make some beautiful earrings using UV resin in these two molds. So first you're going to need some red and green mica powder, and I'm just going to take a paintbrush and directly brush it into the bottom of the mold. And you don't want to put like a ton, just kind of knock the dust off of your paintbrush and then use it. And you're just putting a very thin layer of mica powder is all it's going to take. And then these are two molds, but they're the same mold, and that's going to make your pair of earrings. So I'm just trying to match the shapes with whatever I'm doing. So for instance, this diamond, I'm going to make sure I put the same pattern in it in both ones. That way you have a matching pair of earrings. And you can see I'm taking some of the loose powder from the other things, and I'm adding that in. I'm doing that so it doesn't get any powder residue and that floats to the top of the piece. This is actually a lot of fun. You can use this for pretty much any resin project you're doing, and it's like magic because it'll just adhere to the resin and it'll come off of your mold. It's really neat. So I did the red, now we're going to add some green. Some of these are going to be plain red, some of them will be plain green, but most of them will have a mixture of red and green in them. I really love how each piece turned out though. They all turned out so beautiful. I can't wait for you to see the result at the end. So you can see how I'm just sort of brushing it wherever I want really. So you can get creative and do with this whatever you want to, whatever colors you'd like, whatever add-ins you want. The possibilities are endless. And I love that about resin because you can get very creative. So this is a new type of UV resin that I've never used before. I'm going to go ahead and I tried it with this and I really ended up loving it. And I love how it's small. It comes in a pack of 3 of these small bottles is what I ordered. And I love how it's a lot easier to maneuver because it's small, but I really like how they turned out. I'm filling these completely full with UV resin. And then I would suggest though, if you're by a window like I was, to just do half of a mold at a time. That way your resin doesn't start curing from the window, because mine at the top there kind of started curing when I just filled the whole thing at once. But so the other mold I did half and half, and that worked out way better because I didn't have to worry about it curing. I like to use natural light though. I just feel like I can tell what the piece is going to look like a little bit better. So I always work in front of my window. So when you're using UV resin, you've got to be quick. I do have blinds, but it still cures. So I'm breaking up this gold foil into very tiny little pieces. And I'm using the toothpick to move the gold foil around so it's completely saturated and it sinks to the bottom of that resin piece. When you are using gold foil, you want to make sure it's completely submerged into your piece, or it'll have really sharp pieces sticking out, because when it's cured it gets very sharp. Sorry if you hear my dog. Anytime a car goes by, he runs to the window and barks. So for the leaf, I thought it would be really pretty just to put a thin layer of the gold foil right in the middle, and I love how it turned out too. So once you've got that completely done, you'll put it under the UV light for 3 minutes. And then I went ahead and did the other one, which I didn't put in the video, and then flip them over and put them under the UV light for 2 minutes. And what that does is it makes sure that at the bottom of your mold, that resin's getting cured, because if not, you'll still have that resin uncured. It'll ruin your piece and make a mess. So just make sure you flip it over. And another thing, when you're using UV resin, only use a clear mold and test it first just to make sure your UV light will penetrate through. If it's any type of solid colored mold, UV resin will not cure all the way, which makes it difficult. So these really turned out very pretty. And I'm going to show you how to finish the top part off just to make them look very finished and professional. So take some UV resin and you'll put a decent amount on the top of your piece. And I'm doing this on a little silicone mat because it makes it easier. So take 2 toothpicks and very carefully move the resin to the edges without pushing the resin over the edge. And this is called doming the piece. And this really just makes it a finished product. It makes it look very nice and beautiful. And it really adds something to your piece. I would highly suggest you finishing them by doming them. So when I get to the part where it's for the jump ring hole, I very carefully kind of dab resin on the edge there. And that way the resin isn't pulling down into that hole. Then you have to drill it, and that makes a mess. So it's just easier to very carefully do around the hole. So I actually didn't speed this part up at all. This is real time, just so you can see how much time it does take to dome one piece. But it does make it worth it. If you have a lot of pieces, it is going to take a while, but your pieces look so much more professional and beautiful. So these earrings I actually made to use as gifts for my children's teachers. And I have a video showing you what I put in the teachers' bags and what those look like. So if you're interested in checking that out. So these leaves, I just absolutely love how the leaves turned out. They're so pretty. And you're going to do the same thing. You're just going to, sometimes it's easier. See how my top toothpick is stuck in that hole where the jump ring is? It's easier because it won't move around. So I'm very carefully doming around the piece. And see how I'm working the resin just carefully right there. And that's the best way to do it. And you can kind of see where the indent is to see that that hole is still there and not filled in. That's exactly what you want. You have to be very careful though. And if you're new, it could take practice, but if you're careful, you'll get it just right. All right, so then you put it, well, I like to use the lighter too because you could have some bubbles. So just use your lighter real quick to pop the bubbles and then put your UV light under it for 2 minutes. So here's all the backs we're going to be using. I have this long stud here and I have the ball stud right there. And they all come in these little baggies. And then I also have your classic earring hook. And I'm going to show you, and the little white, the clear backs, jump rings, and your display cards. And I'm going to show you how I use all these to finish off our earring. So it's best to use 2 sets of pliers. It works so much better. For this one, I just have a jump ring and then the ball stud. You just attach it and close that off and make sure it's nice and even. You want it to look even so it looks nice. And just look how stunning that turned out. It is absolutely stunning. Such a beautiful heart earring. That's what it looks like when it's on the display card. I did cut the display card down because if I have such a small dangle, I'm not going to leave that whole display card there. I just think it looks better if it's cut down. So here I'm doing a jump ring and I'm completely closing it off. And then I'm taking the smallest jump ring that comes in the pack. I'm adding it onto the big jump ring. And then I'm adding the long stud. And the reason I did that is because that the eye hole for that stud goes in a different direction. So you actually have to put another jump ring in there to have it lay flat and to look nice. So just keep that in mind if you're going to get those, that you have to put another jump ring on there. And they just look so beautiful. I love those. So any of these supplies that I'm using, including the studs and any of it, I'm going to link it all in my description of my video so you can have that if you want to look there and find the things to use. So this is a jump ring just with a regular eye hook. And that you just put on your jump ring, and that's simple to use. Something about that shape reminds me of the 90s. Look how pretty these leaves are and the pretty hearts. Oh my goodness, they all turned out so beautiful. And my girls actually took them to school today for their teachers already. I packaged their bags and gave them their Christmas gifts today. They all look so pretty, and they're all just slightly different depending on what kind of, whether it was eye hook or the ball stud. it changes the look completely. So if you like this video, please like and subscribe. I have a ton more videos on my channel. I hope you check those out. Have a great day.